Alright, make sure everything's recorded. Recording well.
Weird.
We don't want no
Okay.
mess.
You don't need like.
Okay, so joining me on the show today just released her EP, her first EP entitled Eden. Congratulations, by the way. We have Dani Zam. What's up, Danny?
Hey,
How are you?
hi.
Sipping her tea.
Sorry, that was the worst time. I'm
It's
good. I'm
okay.
great. Thank you so much for having me. It's so exciting.
Okay, before we talk about your music and more, Dani Zamora, how come Dani Zam? But Dani Zam is that's like your stage name. That's what it says on
Alias. Yeah, yeah,
Spotify and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I first of all, I wanted Danny lang, but there's already a Danny all caps on Spotify. So naunahan na ako. So
Uh huh.
and my parents don't want to use like they don't want me to use the actual family like surname. So yeah, and compromise.
Oh, wait, why? Is it? Can I ask
Yeah.
why?
I think more for like privacy reasons or something.
Okay. All
I think
right.
they just want to keep it private. But yeah, for me it wasn't a big issue naman. But I mean, might as well. Like it's catchy naman, I think. Less
Yeah,
syllables.
Dani Zam.
So yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, sorry, because I already said your whole name. So to those who are
it's
wondering,
fine. It's
what
fine.
goes
No
after
problem.
Zam? What are those three letters? Surprise! It's Aura.
Surprise. Here it is. Here it is.
So you came up with the EP a few days ago, Feb 19. How is it like now? Like just after releasing that, I know it's your first like major. You released two songs already earlier, and then this is the first one. Like you really just you went out with five songs, right?
Yeah,
Five
five.
songs.
Including the two that I
Yeah,
released, the singles. Yeah.
yeah. What are
Um,
the emotions like right now?
Gosh, honestly, the day of, I up until the day of the release, I was just really excited, really geeked to just have people hear it na. And then I woke up that day and I just felt so overwhelmed pala. I was overwhelmed pala. I didn't
Okay.
notice it. But then I was like, oh my god, parang I guess in my mind, at first it was like, oh gosh, what if people don't, what if they don't, what if they're not into it or blah blah blah. Pero the way that I calm myself down from that kind of stuff is, remembering the parang why do I want to do this? But like it's really for me it was really just to make music, to just make it for myself first and foremost. And like when you
Yeah.
remember that and you remember parang all the hard work that you put in doing this kind of thing, because there's no, I mean, when you're starting out, there's no money in it. As in, pretty, wala talaga. So parang it's
Uh-huh.
really passion project siya. So, wala, after that, the launch happened and friends were messaging me, telling me that they were listening to it and how much they liked it, and super, super nakakakilig lang talaga. Like, no matter who it is, ha, and I don't know, it just felt really good. Sobrang affirming and sobrang
Hmm.
nakaka-humble for sure. Because this is my baby, alam mo yon. Like sobrang brainchild ko to, and just to like have it out of the world, super surreal to think about.
Yeah. I want to ask more about that, your purpose behind it and doing it. But first, I saw when you announced it and then when you posted it, you had a long write up. You said it got me through the cloudiness of 2020. I wanna just dive into that now. The thought process
Yeah.
into making that, it was sort of like a therapy type of thing. Like there was a lot of stuff that happened, a lot of shit happened in 2020, and through this project, it was sort of your way of dealing with the pandemic, the dealing with because you
Yeah.
were studying in the States and then you had to
Yeah.
come home. How did you decide to use this particular avenue for you to deal with these stuff?
You, it kind of happened like in a flash like that, but also not. Kasi, so I was, like, as you mentioned, I was studying in the States nga. I graduated from NYU just this past May. And so I came home end of March. So parang I wasn't finished yet. Parang sobrang walang closure. I had to pack up my whole life in 3 days, literally.
Yeah.
Like, that whole thing in Friends where they have to, that pivot thing with the couch, yung
Uh-huh.
sa stairs. Me and my roommate, two tiny girls, we
Oh
did that
wow.
by ourselves, midnight.
But it wasn't
Yeah, one
fun.
minute right before. It, no, because we locked ourselves out of the apartment. But yeah, sobrang daming stories. So anyway, basta it was just such a blur. So I came home and then parang I had to quarantine by myself and parang just super stew by myself, like everything that had happened. And it was a lot. It was a lot super. And parang in the middle, I was doing 2 internships pa at the same time that I was studying, so I had to dip from those. And then it was just biglang from being so busy and not having a lot of time, for leisure to just 100% leisure. It was sobrang
Mm,
nakakapanibago.
gets.
And yeah. So parang I was on a track to do corporate fashion because that's kind of what I studied. Um, Luxury fashion is a big part of what I studied in school, and so that's the kind of job that I was like gunning to go for. Pero wala, it's such a hard industry here in the Philippines kasi they're not as big here in the Philippines, and parang the companies that do carry the luxury brands, parang they didn't have openings and stuff. So parang I was trying for months to look for jobs after I graduated. Pero it was super hard and super discouraging at times kasi alam mo na, parang you're seeing so much bad stuff happening around. Tapos parang even in your own personal like journey or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, parang it was hard. I've been writing music since I was in high school. But it was always just for myself. Like I was super swapang pa with who I would share my music to. Super
Mm-hmm.
private lang. I didn't want to share it because I don't know, probably like confidence issues and stuff. But then yun, I started slowly telling my mom when I was in college na parang I want to do something with this. Parang I want to take it seriously. My parents kasi are musicians, so parang they understand where I'm coming from, but not necessarily support because they know how hard it is nga to be a musician,
Yeah.
especially like in the Philippines where the arts isn't super, supported as much as we would want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Pero my mom was always saying na parang finish your studies first. Just finish this one thing first and then just see where things go. So yeah, that was my
Yeah.
mindset. But then when the pandemic happened, then I suddenly had all this free time. Biglang I realized I just had no excuse to put it off na parang oh I have work or oh I have class. Biglang
You had
everything
all
was
the
wide
time in the
open.
world.
So I was going through some stuff, like as a lot of people were in 2020, and I use the word cloudy because that's just what it felt. Parang it felt medyo heavy,
Yeah.
gloomy, parang unclear for a lot of people and for me also. And so parang I remember talaga like there were days after I graduated and I was just home every day. Parang I would wake up feeling angry for some reason. Parang angry and confused, I guess, because biglang walang direction. Like I didn't know what direction I was going and stuff. And then, but obviously time helped, and making music helped. Um, and voila, like just continuing to make music and stuff. It was trial and error because not everything you write is gonna be like a win. Not everything is gonna be pleasant or whatever. So it was just I just kept going, and then one day in September I woke up and I was just like, I want to make an EP. Like I want to make a project, and that's really how it happened. Parang it just clicked. So parang it was kind of a long time coming, but also it happened the decision was made in a flash. So I started really committing to it and working on it end of last year, and then here it is.
But I feel like it was something that was, even if you parang it was one day you just found out in September. There was a long process that got there. You said you were thinking about it by in college, and then
Yeah.
I can just imagine what when you got back to the Philippines. So it's your first time to see your family, but you couldn't really be with them because you had to quarantine yourself. How did that work? Were
Yeah.
you in your room lang for 2 weeks? You weren't having any social
Not
interaction with your family.
not even 2 weeks, as in 2.5 weeks, because they
Oh,
were that scared. They were that scared. Like
extra safe. Yes.
yeah, because at this point, late March, we had no idea pa about like what was happening. Everything was super, up in
Gets.
the air. So parang they were like, okay, stay there for as long as possible. And me, I'm such an extrovert. So parang I really crave like human interaction. So parang by the end of it talaga, I was like, parang I
Oh
can't take this anymore.
man.
Like I need somebody to talk to and stuff. And parang I would see like my sisters, kunyari, working out outside sa window. And I remember I'd just be like watching them and be like,
Oh
you're so
man.
close, but you're so far. You know what I mean?
Did you actually
So
talk to
parang,
them? Kahit like
No, I
through the
mean
window or something?
phone.
Oh
As
my
in,
gosh.
yeah, ganun talaga yung parang
Wow.
don't stay near. Kunyari, if they were gonna give me food, there's a table that they would put right outside. And then they would call me to let me know that the food was
Wow.
parang prison
Solitary
vibes. Yung parang,
confinement vibes.
yeah,
Gets.
totoo. Sobrang totoo. So, ganun yung, that was the sitch.
In those 2 weeks, would you say that that's where this whole Eden EP was born? Was it there, or yung nga, was it like what you said kanina, in September pa? That's when you actually started really working on it.
Um, I feel like at that point I was still too caught up in I just left my life behind and
Okay.
I'm still scrambling to figure out what I'm gonna do next. So parang with the whole Eden thing talaga, it was really the latter part of the year na I decided to even start writing more music because it didn't start as Eden. You know, it started as I have this song and I've just written this song and this song and this song and I feel like overall that's how all these songs make me feel like is X and X is Eden. So
Sorry.
parang the
Makes you
songs
feel like by X you mean like a
so
place marker, or
yeah. So parang I wrote the songs first before coming up with
okay.
the title of the EP or the concept of
Gets.
the EP.
Gets.
So parang in conceptualizing what to call it, I asked myself, parang what does it make me feel about like the story of each of these songs? What does it say and like how yun nga, like basically how does it feel and how does it translate to me? And I
Mm-hmm.
guess yun nga, my explanation for Eden is
Yeah.
parang the idea of paradise, of bliss, and of just kind of that fantasy like feeling. Because you know when you're so in love, and they're all love songs by the way. You know when you're so in love, right? You just get caught up in all these feelings, and
Mm-hmm.
you get overwhelmed and you get kind of swept up in this kind of love bubble, right? Even if sometimes it's bad stuff that happens, you're still kind of within your own,
Yeah.
space. And then with Eden, I think the Bible, whatever happened with Eden in the Bible is parang it was this parang wonderful place and you had that whole paradise concept nga, but parang as quickly as you are to parang to be there, you can just lose it just as quick. Diba?
Oh.
When Adam and
Yeah.
Eve
When they
ate
ate
that
the
apple,
apple,
yeah,
yeah.
when they ate the apple, parang everything just switched. So parang the same thing with me when I was thinking about love. It's like you can have all this time being in love, but one thing can just shift everything.
Okay,
So
I
that's kind
wow.
of where I got it. Yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not just a romantic. Am I right to interpret it that it's not just a romantic type of love, because Eden, in your situation, you had the dream, dude. You were in New York. You had internships
Yeah.
there. Is it like that as well, that you kind of had your Eden and then biglagang baga.
You know, that's crazy because I never thought about it that way until you said it just now. Like,
Boom. You're welcome. Joke.
I know,
Wait,
yeah,
really?
yes, no, thank you. Yeah, yeah, I always thought about it in the love kind of sense because, I mean, they were love songs, but then I guess in a way it's also a love song to myself.
Yeah.
Not in a narcissistic way, but just in, like narrating my experiences and like how I personally like see the world. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's a good point, and I think I'm gonna start thinking about it in that way, Naren.
Yeah, but I don't think that it just came from me. I'm sure that that's all there in your subconscious, especially with making music.
Right.
It's a very personal, and in your songs they're very personal. Especially talk about the love. Like you can't get more personal than talking about the love. I'm sure there's
No.
all like the whole New York and studying,
Yeah,
working. It
yeah,
was it
yeah.
was all sort of there. I wanted to ask though. So I mentioned the cloudiness of 2020. You also said that
Right.
the uncertainty was disarming, and for many days I couldn't understand myself. So this was, I'm guessing, before you released the EP. And then after you released it, like if you examine how you feel now, do you feel like you understand yourself better? Would you say that your headspace, you're in a better place now than before you made it?
Honestly, I think I went through a huge shift in my mental disposition at the turn of the new year. I don't know what it was exactly, pero parang
There's this
I
hope.
just kind of yeah, exactly. I kind of just shifted my way of thinking na parang I was really, because at the end of the year, I was really beating myself up na parang bakit wala pa akong trabaho? Like what is it? You know, why am I having such a hard time with this? When when I initially thought na parang my experiences in New York would make it so much easier for
Yeah.
me to land something here. Surprise, that's not what happened at all. So parang I was like, shucks, ano ba yan? Like, that's what happened. So, but at the start of the new year nga, parang something inside me shifted. Na parang I asked myself, why am I beating myself up ba? Ano ba yung hinahabol ko? Because I feel like that's such a millennial thing na parang we're in such a rush to figure
Yeah.
things out
And
ASAP.
comparing, and you're comparing always.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Na parang you have all these friends around you who have started building things for themselves and who have,
Yes,
who
you
are
do have a lot of
already
friends. Yeah.
so along, like they're on their own journeys na and stuff. And for me, parang I felt like I hadn't even started yet. Pero parang I realized yun, parang what's the point in comparing? They're not doing what I'm doing. I didn't go through the experiences that they went through. So I really just, at the start of this year, I just tried to focus on taking it one thing at a time. Parang if an opportunity came and parang it fell through, then it wasn't for me. Then I would have, parang, then it just means I have to wait and I have to be patient. I'm not a patient person. So parang I had to keep drilling that in my head. And just what I did was I just took advantage of the time that I had for leisure, like using it productively, but also like in a way that made me feel good. So even
Made
more
you feel
reading, then
productive and sort of accomplished in a way.
more of purposeful, like because for me a lot of that is just reading, and it's not even reading self help or any of those like business. I super di ko talaga. I don't know. It's those are just not for me talaga. Like I
Okay.
hate being told what to do by
Okay.
books. So parang those aren't for me. I'm really like more of a fiction person. So even that na parang it's not really productive in a way that it'll help me with my career or this and that, but more of like it helped me with my creativity, I think, and parang tapping
Yeah.
that kind of aspect of my mind. So doing those kinds of things, and I think working out also consistently was a big thing for me because and all I don't know if people talk about it a lot, but parang your physical activity really affects your mental health.
Oh yeah, totally.
Um, yeah,
Totally.
yeah, yeah. So parang I was advised na parang kunyari, when I would be feeling like low energy and things like that, do something low impact. So yoga or Pilates or something. Pero if I was feeling frustrated or angry, do something high impact.
Like
So
808
hit
Studio.
cardio.
Boom.
Exactly, like 808. And I have done 808 over the
You have.
quarantine. I really have. I loved it. It was
Oh,
fun. Yeah,
nice.
being a dancer, of course you have to appreciate that stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah, yeah. So just being open to trying new things talaga, like being open and but more than that, just being curious enough. Because I think the curiosity comes before the openness. Because if you don't ask questions, if you don't ask yourself and ask each other, like other people questions, then you don't know what's out there. Nothing's gonna wanna make you open-minded if if you don't know.
There's
So
two things I
yeah,
was gonna say with what you said a while ago. First, with the paths thing, and I get it. Like everybody has their own path. Everybody's on their own and they're on their own pace.
yeah,
I'm sort of in that also right now. I can say that I totally relate that I see my batchmates doing all these different things. And although I'm still scared, although I'm still kind of confused sometimes, I would say that there's a little more clarity now for me that
yeah,
we're all already moving on our path. It's just that we're taking it's like a different everybody has a different staircase. So even if it looks like
exactly.
this and I see your friends, oh you have a lot of batchmates who are my friends too, and I see these people are making their own businesses.
Making
They're
moves,
having
yeah,
yeah, they're
exactly.
that's a very obvious way of wow, this person is progressing in his or her career. But then for people like us, even if it's not as obvious or concrete, let's say you haven't let's say the days you didn't even think of putting out Eden yet, that was already a step to in your career. Those are already steps on your path and for you to
Yeah. And
progress in the
sometimes
career that you
you
have.
don't even know that they were steps, but they were,
Yeah.
diba?
It's all in
Yeah,
hindsight na parang, oh nga
exactly,
pala. So
exactly.
I just tell myself, in hindsight, my days today are gonna make more sense. So just don't stress about it too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, you know what you just said, I kind of have two things to say about that. First,
Mm.
um, with the friends nga na parang are making moves and stuff, on the like from the outside looking in, it seems like wow, they really have their shit together, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like they really have it all
Gets
under
na nila.
control. Pero when you talk to like, and this has happened to me na parang I've talked to friends who I thought had everything under control and everything going for them, and they're struggling just as much as I am pala, like internally. So parang no matter what you're doing, parang it really affects everyone. That like 2020 like really affected everyone. So parang I guess obviously I didn't like that my friend was suffering, pero it made me feel comforted in the fact na parang, okay, I might not have things figured out and I might not have like something concrete at this very moment.
Mm-hmm.
Pero, like you said, we're all on our own paths. And parang just the kind of comfort in having been able to share that with these people who inspire me and people who I know are like going through their own stuff and pushing forward. It was great. And also, the other thing, what you said, parang people like us who are parang going the parang more of, I want to
Non-traditional.
say non-traditional, exactly,
Yeah.
non-traditional. I think it's a different kind of difficulty because parang iba yung when you have like a 9 to 5 and stuff like that, and that's your main thing. It's it's you have stability and you have security, and at
Yeah.
least you can wake up every day knowing that okay, I have things to do and this kind of thing that can give me purpose and I'm gonna earn from it, you know. But then when you're like a creative and you're an artist or whatever, it's sariling kayod talaga, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like your own disposition, your own productivity. It's really based on what you put out day per day. So there's really a kind of challenge in that also. But I feel like, and I know you feel this also, it's really rewarding to parang look back and realize like you went through all this stuff and that parang that now that your mind feels so much clearer, parang just observing and reflecting. It's a lot, but it's nice to just look back and realize all this stuff.
Yeah. There's something I'm gonna say about that. But then the second thing I was gonna say a while ago, you mentioned kasi you don't really like self-help books and you don't like being told what to do. And I understand that. Like I'm also someone who doesn't like being told what to do. But I just wanna say lang na sayang if you wouldn't want to check out self-help books at all because
No,
I've
yeah,
gotten
yeah,
to
yeah.
read some and
No,
although
so have
they
I. So have I.
yeah, yeah. It's the same. It's connected then with why you said that you like reading fiction. You kind of
Yeah.
get inspired by another. It's not directly I should do this because this book told me to do this specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
Mm-hmm.
of these self-help books and a lot of these I guess the podcast interviews and masterclass, all those things,
Yeah.
it's self-help because you see how other people are doing it, and then
Mm-hmm.
maybe how I look at it is suggestions na okay, maybe there's some
Yeah,
stuff
yeah, yeah.
about how they're doing their lives, about how these stories panned out that I could
Right.
apply to my own life. So the same way in the fiction, maybe
Yeah.
like the way this person writes his story and how this person uses words which then you can use in your music, for example, diba?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
that
for
that's what I
sure.
wanted to say about that.
I no hate with the whole self help thing because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've read like a couple like this past just this past quarantine like
Mm-hmm.
I've read a couple and I understand, I totally understand like the whole importance and like I understand its value, but I just feel like parang my mind doesn't get stimulated the same way
Get.
when
Yeah,
it's yeah. So yun,
totally.
but I of course like
Yeah.
I had to have tried it because when I was looking for like a sense of direction when I was so confused,
Mm,
I was like shocked I'll
okay.
try anything, diba?
Yeah, yeah. Everyone
So
has their
yeah,
own. Everyone has
that's
their
that.
own. Has their own kigite and stuff. But I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
were talking about yung freelance life and having your own rules and your own it's all on you eh. You have infinite possibilities. Like, oh yeah, wow, okay naman na. Parang solid naman yung freelance. You get to do whatever you want. But at the same time,
Yeah,
you get to do whatever you want. Which is like, shit, what am I supposed to do, diba? Because just
exactly,
everything,
exactly.
everything. So when it comes now, I wanna ask with your mindset on music. So it's your own rules, your own metrics of success. You
Yeah.
put out this EP as a sort of like self-expression on your way of dealing with the
Yeah.
pandemic. Is that your goal, or is there a message you want to reach other people? Is it more of, okay, I just want to be honest, and I just want to share this art that I created for the world.
Um, well, I think my purpose from the from the get go is really just I just want to make music. Like I just want to make music.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a sixth sense to me. You know, I've been a music lover. I grew up with music ever since I could remember, and it's just always been the constant in my life. Na parang wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, it's there. You know, so that's kind of the basis of why I wanted to do it. To just to make it because it was the pipe dream na parang I never really had the balls to do until I woke up and actually decided to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with Eden though is it's not all my stories. It's they're not all mine. Like say it, I remember the first single that I released. It was based off of what one of my best friends was going through.
Oh, it wasn't
Um,
your own.
and no,
Okay.
no, no, no. It wasn't my experience. So that was it to say it based on somebody. Like, 'cause for me, it's all about the narrative talaga. Like, it's not just parang, it's not just lyrics to me. It's parang it's a story. It has to unfold in some
Mm-hmm.
way. And with Dagat naman, I actually wrote that 2019 pa. Even before I decided to
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
were you in the
to
States when you
make
wrote
an
this?
EP. Yeah, I remember it super clearly. I was living in the East Village. You've been to that apartment when you visited, remember?
The one you were staying at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
remember. So it was, probably a Saturday night. I remember I was just playing around with my guitar, which was my coping mechanism for being so away from home, and I just started on this riff, and then that's how it starts. For me, usually it's a melody, or a riff, or a something, and then that's
Sorry,
how
can
it
you
starts.
explain a riff to
Sorry.
non-music creators like
Yes,
myself?
a riff is kind of just like how do you explain that? A riff is well, I'll kind of just please like for the music people who are watching, please don't clock me. But this is just how
Okay.
I interpret this. It's kind of the melody or kind of like something that you play that's kind of like yeah like kind of melodic like kind of
Okay.
like a hook basically.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Sige, sige.
So for me,
Sorry.
that was it. No. Thank you for asking. So that was it. And I just remember it just all came pouring out, and that's the way that I write. Parang I go through these chunks of creative blocks na parang wala akong maisip, and I get frustrated. But then when I get in the mood to write, it takes me 2 to 3 hours to write a whole song. From the lyrics.
When it comes, when the parang, when it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
here we go, the magic's
Yeah, yeah,
working.
yeah. When the light bulb is there, nonstop 2 to 3 hours, and I'll have the lyrics, the melody, and then I'll plug everything onto my keyboard, and I'll make the beats and the bass and all that stuff. The recording though is different. Recording the vocals takes so much longer because I'm so maarte with it. Like I'm super
Mm-hmm.
perfectionist when it comes to that. I hope people don't clock me for this either, but I only use GarageBand, and it's
That's
like the
fine.
most
I will
basic.
defend you if anybody has a problem with that. Yo, just let people
It's
make
the most
music.
Yeah, it's the most basic thing. And the thing with GarageBand is there's zero pitch correction, zero autotune.
Oh.
So the whole EP, that's really me talaga. Walang any kind of anything.
Oh.
That's why it
Well,
takes
that's nice to hear.
forever to record. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it takes
Kasi
forever
parang,
to
wait,
record.
I said, parang, oh, this happened na, like, it sounded good, but when I said this one word, it didn't sound that right, so you have to do it again.
Exactly,
Oh,
exactly.
wow.
So I
Hassle.
remember I
That's a
think
long process.
I know. I remember I think it was for I Probably it was for Say It. It took me like 5 hours to record all the vocals because I do the harmonies on the spot also. So parang that's so many different layers. And usually I would do three, but kunyari for songs like Dagat where there's no percussion, there's no like it's not as um thick of a song, I guess. I used five different harmonies, like five layers of harmonies on that, which made it take like even longer. But
Mm-hmm.
I find it fun because I find it fun parang playing it back and hearing it layer per layer and then
It grew.
hearing it, yeah, hearing it like the final outcome. It's just magic, you know. It's kind of just like magic making and parang
How do you
it's so fun.
how do you know though that okay, this is it? Like you can always I can imagine that you can just always add to it. You can add another layer, you can add
Right.
another backup vocal, you can add another instrument. What
Yeah.
do you have like a is it just a feeling for you na this feels right? I'm gonna keep it at this na.
Um, yes. I more or less know when to stop or when to parang I have that instinct na parang kulang pa ba ng isang layer or parang is it too stagnant or something like that. And I'll do something to shift it. But then once I finish the song, I can't I don't decide on well for Eden at least. I couldn't decide on whether to like push through with it or not without asking my family. So parang since everybody
Mm.
in my family is very like musically
Oh
inclined,
yeah,
parang I trust
totally.
their judgment. I trust their judgment in telling me if it's a good song or not or if it's my potential or not. So parang there have been some songs that I've made the whole thing na top to bottom and then I'll play it back for my kunyari, for my sister and she'll be like
Which sister is
it's
this?
okay. Oh, Gabby.
Okay.
So I'll play it and I'll be like, okay, what do you think? And she's like, it's okay, it's not as good as this one, or no.
Ooh.
So that's why that's one of the reasons why there are only five.
How
I
many
would have
originally ba?
wanted more. I was playing around with the idea of like six or seven because it's an EP, so it has to stay below 30 minutes extended
Okay.
play. That's the rule. But also, I realized, parang, why do I want to put out so many things all at once? Parang, I don't have to be in a hurry. Um, if these five songs are successful, then I can just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I think they kind of well based off of what people have been saying, parang the really nice words people have been saying, parang
Yeah.
it's it's kind of it's made people happy and parang I love it. I super love it when people just message me randomly and be like, you know what, this one is my favorite of all the other ones.
Okay.
I don't know why that super makes warms my heart. The parang no na parang they've listened enough to have a favorite. Or parang when they tell me, shucks, this one gave me goosebumps, or this one made me cry. Like, wala, it's just so fulfilling.
Wow.
Parang to be able to touch somebody's life in that way, you know.
Yes. Two things I wanted to ask. First, so you go to your family about this and then you ask them. So I would imagine that making music is a very personal thing. So let's say you came up with the whole song.
Yeah.
You make everything. You make all the instruments, all the vocals, the words,
Yeah.
everything. You
Yeah.
present it to Gabby, your sister. And then she says, "Oh, it's not that good," or "I don't really like it." How do you take it? How do you? Because it's your work, so at the end
Yeah.
of the day, diba, it's your opinion that matters. It's you. You're the one with the final say of what gets released or not.
Yeah.
How do you? What's the give and take like for you of how much you're gonna adjust to based on what other people say, and how much you're gonna stick to what you believe in?
Good cue. I think
Ooh.
for me, parang I I really had to work on not taking it personally because it wasn't it wasn't a hit naman to
On
me
you,
as a person. Eh. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Parang they wouldn't say it to hurt me. Parang they just want to help. They wouldn't want me naman to release something like half-assed, or
yeah.
something that was not ready not ready yet na parang kulang pa ng potential or whatever like that. So parang I just kind of tried to think about it that way. Of course, parang it kind of stung rin na parang shucks, I put in all this effort and I
Oh
really
yeah.
thought that they were gonna like this one. Pero um, I guess like I trust them to tell me the truth and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And parang there are a couple of songs. There were two songs that I worked on with my brother, with my brother Jazz because he's a DJ. So he helped me
Which
with the
songs are these
beat.
specifically?
These were Made of Love and Good to You. So it took us 2 to 3 sessions each for both songs. Na parang we would really be super nitpicky on every specific beat. Na parang we were like, oh, that sounds repetitive now, or oh, it needs a little lighter tone, or parang the snare kind of needs to sound more full. Parang ganun talaga, and it's nice na parang I don't want to say have him at my disposal, but
Yeah.
parang
But he's your
that he's
kuya, so
here at home.
parang,
Yeah,
oo.
yeah, yeah. So that na parang to have him here at home as somebody who can like I can go downstairs and he can help. Parang I can knock on his door and be like, can you help me with this? You know, so it was super super big deal, and so parang it was a nice experience, and we got to do that together also. So yeah, I think it's all about the support system. Also, like I wouldn't have been able to do this whole thing if it weren't for the people who've helped me like physically with the actual music, but also just with all the nice words, with all the encouragement, like with my friends who helped me with like coming up with the artwork, with the album art and stuff like that. Super team effort talaga. Even if parang making the initial idea and stuff was just like me hunched on a desk. And parang it's really a team effort.
Is this something you want to take seriously? Do you want music to be your main thing? Or, because we know naman the millennials, we wear a lot of hats. Like
We
I
do.
would say I have a lot of part-time jobs. But I would say that podcasting, hosting, this is what I wanted my main thing to be. For you, do you want music right now, where you are now? You can only speak, obviously, we can only speak for today. Is this
Yeah.
what you want? Is this something you want to pursue full time, 100%? Or right now it's sort of like one of the things you do?
Right now, it's one of the things that I will be doing. Because I actually kind of just landed a job. So
Hey,
I'm going to be
congrats.
starting. Thank you. So I'm going to be starting that soon. For me naman kasi, I'm really the type that I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket thing. And I have a lot of interests, like I studied in the States. Like I'm really into fashion and into like lifestyle and retail. So parang I don't want to just let go of that no matter how much I love music and how parang purposeful it makes me feel. Parang I want to make sure that I'm growing in those other aspects as well. With music naman, parang of course, diba, it's the dream of every artist who puts music out to be able to do it for a living and
Yeah,
to just have enough support
make it
to
big.
yeah, exactly, to be able to be able to support yourself with it, and eventually like it's really a with music it's such a slow steep inclined climb. So I'm not delusional in thinking naman na parang, oh, it's gonna happen this year, the same exact year that I dropped my first, because I'm virtually nobody, I'm literally just starting. So,
I wouldn't say
um,
nobody. You're already somebody with the fact that you're there now.
that's true.
You've already made your digital footprint, and it's
True.
possible now for someone on the other side of the world to hear your music. So even if you're, I would say you're still very far from where you want to be. I can imagine,
Yeah.
diba? Though I don't
Yeah,
want you
yeah.
to think that don't sell yourself short na you're nobody. Na wala ka pang nagawa kasi you've done a lot naman. Even if we're
Thank
just in
you.
the
I
early,
appreciate that.
nasa phase
Yeah, yeah,
one pa
yeah.
lang tayo. But then, I gets
True.
mo, the
Yeah, yeah,
wheels are
yeah.
turning na. Sorry, you were saying.
Definitely. No, 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 you're fine. Thank you so much. But yeah, if it's gonna happen soon, then that's gonna be so exciting. If there are opportunities that will present themselves medyo later on pa, then I'll just keep going. Just it's all about remembering your purpose, like why
Yeah,
why you do it. I think it's the same for you naman, like with the podcast.
yeah.
Sometimes you can have the parang you can be low bat in terms of creativity or coming up with new ideas
Mm-hmm.
for your self brand, right? But when you have it and parang you just have to in those moments I'd rather it's important lang to remember like why you're doing this and why you enjoy it so much, and what value does this have to you, and what value can others like gain from it. So parang it's really all about just always having that mental conversation, I
Yeah.
think.
I wanted to go back though to one of the questions I asked a while ago. So after all
Sorry.
the process now, after all the no, it's fine. I love all the cuentos in between, obviously. Um, would you say that you are in a better place now, or is it still just a step in dealing with everything? Kasi we were talking about a while ago yung cloudiness of everything, how you did this project, you did Eden to deal with those things. It, would you say that you are in a better place mentally now?
100% better. 100% better. Like it just feels so much clearer now, and there's really a shift talaga in the way that I approach my day to day, you know. And now parang I have more direction, and I'm less hard on myself about different factors in my life. And it's just nice to parang look back and be like, shucks, that's really like this is what I went through, and parang if I had a this is the way I think about it. If I had a friend who kind of went through parang the emotions that I went through, parang I would, I wouldn't wish it upon that person. But parang realizing that it happened to me, and that I got past it, that I like dug myself out of the proverbial hole. It's just you just learn to be really proud of yourself, and to just
Kaya mo
be,
pala.
yeah, to be forgiving of yourself for having a hard time. Parang you said something kanina about the whole thing about like me feeling angry and but also guilty, na parang I understand the peer, parang of course like there are
Okay
people
naman yung
who
buhay ko,
went
all
through
that
really,
stuff.
yeah. But I think it's great to acknowledge that, because it helps you feel more down to earth, It kind of keeps your feet on the ground. But also, parang I think it's important to remember to validate your feelings,
Yeah, there you go. There, that's the
Whatever
exact
you
term I was
feel,
thinking of.
it's valid. If you feel angry, if you feel confused, if you don't feel like talking to anybody today, it's valid. It's okay, like why wouldn't it be okay if that's exactly what you like, if that's the stage you're in at this moment? Parang wag ka mamadali, 'di ba? Parang to get everything sorted out, because sometimes things just need to marinate so that they can taste better after.
Ooh, okay. You
Right?
went to
You
food.
know what I
Yeah, gets,
mean?
gets,
Yeah, yeah,
gets.
yeah.
I wanted to ask though. I can't think of the. I'm not sure of the best way to ask this, but as a new artist, kasi I can imagine that it's very very tough. You've gone through the initial challenge of putting yourself out there, from I like music as a hobby to now
Yeah.
I'm on Spotify, baby. And you've made that leap already. Then I
Yeah.
would imagine the next leap would be to like hit a market or hit people that you don't know at all, because I'm
Yeah.
seeing from your posts and shares you have a lot of friends who are moved by it, who really love it, and
Yeah.
that's a great thing. But I could also, like, the reality is you can kind of expect that to happen from people who love you, from people who support
Yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah. Who
even
know me
before.
personally.
Yeah. Have you received negative feedback yet, or have you received any, because I'm sure now for creators like you and me, when I first put out my podcast, I was like, shit, dude, what if I get a lot of shit for this thing? But
Yeah.
has any of that already happened at this point? Like, have you received any of those
Hate.
negative, or yeah, or any comments that you wouldn't want to hear, sana?
Mm, thankfully, not so much. But there was this one comment on my Facebook page. It wasn't in English, it wasn't in Tagalog. I don't know how that person found my page, but I feel like it was, I think I remember because
Was
I
it a
like
bot?
copying the word, I don't, it was an account, but copying the word on Google Translate, and I think it was some kind of African dialect.
Okay.
And when I translated it, it translated to rich girl. So I was like,
Mm,
okay, I don't know, is this shade? Like, I don't know if it's like an insult or whatever, pero I remember kind of feeling about that, na parang, oh, I guess that person has something to say about me, but
yeah.
it wasn't a hit to my music, you
Yeah.
know? So parang I kind of didn't really know what to feel about that, pero I think that's the extent pa lang naman, thank
Dumbag,
God.
yeah.
I mean, of negative comments. I
Yeah.
mean, but I feel like as I go along the way, parang of course some people are gonna dislike it. Of course, it's not gonna be for everybody,
Yeah.
you know.
The thing
But
I find challenging about that is that we know that the things we're gonna do, it's not for everybody. Like there are gonna be people who really
yeah,
like it, and there are gonna be people who don't like it. But the
mhm,
challenge is, when I put out my conversations, when you put out your music, there's a
mhm.
part of you in it. Even if someone can
Yeah,
nitpick it and criticize it, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, there's something wrong with, there's something that could be improved with my work. But you're still attached to it. It's still Dani
yeah,
Zam, diba? My podcast, it's still
exactly.
Anton Falso. So I wanted
Hmm.
to know, like, have you thought of how you're gonna deal with those stuff? Because if we do want to take the next step, if you do want to, you said it's a very steep climb. If you don't want to take the next step, you're gonna have to learn to deal
Yeah,
with those
exactly.
comments
You
and
have
people who
to
just don't fuck with your music.
yeah, you have to really build a tougher skin, like a thicker skin rather.
Yeah.
Um, I how do I plan to deal with it? I mean, I watch some music artists like celebrities na who are like big time, and I watch some of their interviews on like how they deal with negative comments and negative press and stuff like that. And parang I noticed that a lot of them just don't seek out the negative comments. They don't read the negative comments. Pero there are others rin who parang reply to the negative comments and be like F you and
Mm.
and like more of on the aggressive aspect. I guess where I am on that is if I won't seek them out, there's no point in me seeking, it's not gonna help me
Yeah.
to read, I think, like hateful things unless it's constructive criticism,
There. Yeah. There you go.
but if I chance upon it, like I'll let myself feel bad about it because that's a piece of my soul. That's
Yeah.
me kind of like bearing my soul. Music is so personal, and parang you don't have to understand the language. You don't have to, for example, speak Tagalog to appreciate like a good rhythm, a good bass line.
Mm-hmm.
It's a universal language. So parang if if there are people who don't dig it, then I guess I guess all I can say is like it's a day at a time thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
It's good though that
Because
you
it's not
said
a hit
that.
on me.
Yeah, it's good that you said
Yeah.
you're gonna feel it. Like if you're gonna see negative comments, you'll feel it. Kasi I can imagine that it's delikado rin na there's this saying that there are no two, I forgot what movie this was. There are no two words in the English language more dangerous than good job. Because we can get, I have received, like, let's say for every 100 good jobs I've received, like it makes you feel good about yourself. But you're not gonna change anything. You're not gonna add anything. But
Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
I get comments on like how I talk, how I ask my questions, even if those hurt, though, even if those hurt, those are the only comments that are gonna make me like question the things that I do. Wait lang, maybe there's
Yeah.
something better
Yeah.
that I can do. That's why
Yeah.
there's this negative comment that exists in the
Yeah.
first place.
Yeah, because listen, no matter how many good reviews you get, and those are really lovely to hear. You can't settle and you can't allow yourself to be comfortable
Mhm.
enough to think na parang, oh, there's nothing else that I need to do. I just have to keep on doing this and staying in this lane, and it's gotten a good reviews. So like, why do I have to change anything? That's
Yeah.
gonna be that
Yeah.
hubris is gonna be your downfall. Like
Yeah.
if you stop trying to improve yourself,
Yeah.
if you stop trying to like reflect and ask how can I improve myself in this way or in that way,
Mhm.
and it shouldn't reflect on you personally and like changing who you are. You have to make sure parang who you are is still really intact. And I know it can be hard for artists, I guess, to think this way sometimes because parang there's this thing na parang you get imposter syndrome. I don't know if
Yeah.
you felt that. Na
Yes.
parang sino ba ako to do this? Like who do I think I am to like for me like to be releasing music like this and stuff. But you know that kind of thinking is it can be toxic and it can be dangerous to you, and it's like what's the point in thinking that of myself?
Yeah.
Like I guess if for the people who are watching this and who ever think na parang they feel like imposters in their own skin, like ask yourself like why shouldn't I be doing this? Like why
Mhm.
not, diba? Like
Yeah.
what do you have to lose if it's
Something
something that can make you happy?
something I can add to that. I have felt that a lot, and I did ask people about this already. When I got in mix, syempre I feel good. Yo, my gosh,
Yeah.
parang best the best, diba? You actually won. You actually got the job, the
Yeah.
position. But there's a lot of times now, wait a minute, like, do I really deserve to be here? I went through a lot of questioning na parang, I mean, am I really good? Do I really need to be here? So I asked one of my favorite interviews that I've done in my life before, with Jaya, this amazing artist. She said that
Yeah.
with all those things, with all your worries, just you have to first tell yourself that you're doing the right thing. That you are here for a reason. You got these opportunities. You're hearing all these these good comments and all those stuff because you did something right. So it has to start there in you knowing that you did something right. It's not saying that everything you do is right, but then this is one main or big thing that you did
Yeah.
correctly, which brought you to where you are today. And I don't know if I could just give some advice from my zero music experience, that just, I mean, make sure you focus on that. You have, I would say, like, that is like a chunk, like a 75% of how you look at yourself, how you look at how you
Yeah.
value your work. But then you have to be still open, because right now,
Yeah,
diba?
for
Right
sure.
now, I'm sure what you're hearing is all positive news. Besides that one African comment, diba? Still have that. But then when if ever you continue to make music, if ever you still put out more stuff, and if ever the not so nice comments start coming in, diba? I hope that doesn't take away anything from what you've already accomplished and what you plan
Yeah.
to accomplish in the future.
Thank you. I think it's really just important to just be in tune with who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and surround yourself with around people who make you feel like the best version of yourself and
And I
who
think you have that.
challenge you. Yeah. It's all about having a good support system. I think
Yeah.
like I wouldn't have gotten this far if I didn't have those key people to really back me up.
Yeah, and you're lucky that
So
your
yeah.
family's so into music, ah. If I
Yeah,
can.
but also, it's funny because I feel like I take it the most personally from them because I know they're not messing around. Like they know what they're talking about. They
Mm,
have good ears and stuff. So parang when they say, oh, parang this is a little ano, or parang kunyari like my parang I'll make my mom listen to parang the very first draft of a whole song. And she'll be like, oh, parang I think you can improve the way that you sing this. Parang at first I was like, oh my
but at
god,
least it's
sweet.
specific.
Or like,
At
oh
least
my
it's
god, how good.
specific, ha.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah.
Instead of just okay lang. Tapos, di ba?
Yeah,
What should I work on it?
yeah,
At
yeah,
least they
yeah.
have
Because
the.
I really, now that I think about it, I prefer when they say, parang, oh, I think this, why don't you try this? No, no, no. Instead of, yeah, I think it's okay. Okay, we're not out here to be okay. Do you know what I
Okay,
mean? Like,
that's a good
diba? Parang
mindset.
if you're gonna do something, like, do the hell out of it, diba? Like with each of the five songs, I I wouldn't have put them in the EP if I didn't think they were ready to be listened to by
Mhm.
other people. That's why
Yeah.
there are only five. Yun
So
nga.
far,
So far.
so
So
far. So
far. Yeah.
last thing I want to ask though, what is next? Like, you just released it a few days ago.
Yeah.
But I know you've been writing a lot, and you're gonna start a new job. But I'm pretty sure, man, if it's something that you love to do, you're gonna find time for it. What for the at least the music side, the music aspect of your life, Danny Zam? What do you have in store next? What are your future goals?
Future goal. Well, short-term goals. I'm just continuing um, to promote my EP. I'm gonna start doing. Obviously, we can't really go out in public yet,
Mm-hmm.
so doing some live sessions and stuff. Like, so if people wanna see that, then hit me up. But then also, I think if you're releasing this on a Thursday, which I think you are,
Yeah.
the next day I'll be releasing this kind of like mini kind of compilation of short videos and stuff that I made for Dagat. So that's gonna
Oh.
be out tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Just like small projects lang to just keep it interesting and
Yeah.
make sure that it's not stagnant. Keep writing along the way. And yeah, hopefully when things are better, I can share the music with people face to face. I think one of my big things that I want to check off the list is being able to perform it live and having people sing the lyrics back to me. I feel like
Oh, I can
I feel like
imagine.
once I experience that, parang ibang klaseng validation, you know, that to
Yeah.
know that people have spent actual time listening to it and parang know
And
it
knowing
enough
the
to like,
lyrics.
yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
super. I feel like for any artist, that's really like that's all you can want. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Before I ask you to promote your EP and invite everybody, I just wanted to ask quickly about Dagat because I feel like it's the one that's the most different from the other
Different.
four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What why? Huh, I don't know
Why?
how to ask it. Why?
Why?
It's the only full Filipino song. It's the more, man, I don't know if my words are correct.
OPM
Dramatic. It's
vibe.
the more, yeah, it's the
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
not dramatic. Not sensual, but it's a more,
I mean,
it's a more, it's a more slow. It's a more mellow.
um,
Boom, there you go. It's the most,
mellow, mellow,
like the
mellow.
other ones. You can kind
Yeah.
of, the other ones you can kind of chill dance to it. Like my
Yeah.
favorite's No Mess. Like you can chill dance to that.
Oh, I love that. Thank you
But
so
then
much.
for Dagat, why?
Well, like I said, I wrote it even before, like a whole year before I decided to make the EP, and I've just kind of had it in my back pocket every now and then when I would pick up my guitar, I would just I would just play it, and parang I um I played it for my mom this one time, and she I think she kind of just fell in love with the riff, with the parang melody of the guitar, because she said it sounded like rippling water, and I was like, yeah, well, it's called Dagat, but I
Ano
just
man?
it needed to be there. It needed to be in the EP, kind of as an equalizer, because with the five songs, a lot of them you can tell na parang they have a similar vibe. They don't
Yeah.
sound the same, but they have a similar vibe. But with
Yeah.
Dagat, I think it was kind of just like a breaker, and especially it was in the middle part of the whole thing. So parang to make sure that it keeps people on their feet, and I guess, and parang the whole thing is in Tagalog, you know.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was important for me to have that aspect of me as a creator and as somebody who writes
Showing the
also, to
range.
just to show that I can do this also, and also
Yeah.
to, it's OPM. I a lot of what I write is in English, but I'm Pinoy and I'm here, and like it reaches people in a different way.
Yeah.
I think Dagat is the one that makes people like cry. Like it's really made people cry. And I remember there was one time that I was just listening to it over and over again, and I just felt like crying because I was like, gosh, this really came from my brain. You know what I mean? Just crazy to think about that. Parang from nothing, it became this whole thing that now people will listen to and share, and like when they feel like they want, because I feel like it's a song that's parang good like for scenic stuff or for views, or if you
Yeah.
want like a
Yeah,
deep
there was
cleansing breath, you know?
someone, I'm not sure which friend of yours that you posted on your story. She was
Yeah.
driving. It was like a highway, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
where
yeah.
the it fits. It fits for
Yeah,
that vibe."
yeah, yeah. With like snow-capped mountains and stuff like
Mm.
that, and you'll see, well, with the video that I'm releasing, I took it when I was out of town and stuff, and it's just, I don't know, the song kind of just feels like a big exhale, and I feel like the EP needed something like that,
Okay.
and yeah, so
Yes.
yeah, that's
Okay.
that.
Well, okay. So, lastly, can you just invite everybody to stream your EP,
Yes.
and if they want to get in touch with you, if they want to, I know you did a performance for, I think that was the AC Fair. Um,
Yeah, so yeah, fundraiser for
yeah,
AC. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
if
yeah.
people want to get in touch with you with that, how can they contact you?
You can find me at Dani Zam Music on Instagram, on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube as well. I might, I haven't quite decided when yet, get into Kumu in the near future. But yeah, you can hit me up on those. Like I read every single comment. I read every single if you're gonna tag me on your story, to tell me that you like it. So I read every single one, and I'm really grateful and thankful for every single one. So even if you're a stranger, even if you don't know me personally, like thank you in advance. And yeah, let's just share some music.
And
Bottom
last, can
line.
you invite everybody to stream
Yes,
your
please
EP?
stream and listen to Eden and the 5 songs that are on there, Pieces of My Heart. I hope you like them. They're songs for chill listening, vibes, just good vibes, all the feels. And yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Danny. Thank you for your time, and
Thank you so
thank you for
much.
creating those, for being brave and creating music. And I can say, I'm not just because you're my friend, but they have been added. Next time I go to the beach, kasi I've listened to them here at home. Pero I'm
Yeah,
excited
it's
to,
different. It's different.
first time I get back to the beach and I'm gonna listen to it, I'll let you know kung ano yung how the
That's
experience.
great.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you so much. Bye.